Hello, I'm Tom Mintier. We'd like to hear from you. If you'd like to send us an email, you can send it to tonight@truevisionstv.com. The address you see there on your screen, tonight@truevisionstv.com. Or if you'd like to send us a regular letter, it takes a little longer, but we still get it. It's Tonight with Tom Mintier, News 24. The building address is Tipco Tower, 118-1, Rama 6 Road. Tipco Tower, 118-1, Rama 6 Road, and the zip is 10400, and that's in Bangkok. Stu, we were talking during the break about the importance of water. You're doing negotiations for a major manufacturer of soft drinks.
Right.
But I was saying that all the manufacturers of soft drinks seems to be hedging their bets with water. Water is going to be the new oil, if you will.
Everybody needs it. You see different levels of water as well. You've got plain water, spring water, you've got added value water. But you can see in all the markets, I think a lot of the beverage companies and new players are coming into the market because they see it's gold of the future.
It's not seen by most people, though, as being that important. It's being just water.
Yeah, it's water, but think of how much you consume of it and
look
how
at
many
the shelf
people...
space. Look at the shelf space in any
Yeah.
retailer. How much is reserved for water now?
Exactly, and then you've got all the other service bottlers are changing their systems for increasing their delivery distribution of water in Moderntrade. Like you said, the shelf space. It's really a big market, and it's tough. How do you differentiate water?
You know, you look at the ASEAN free trade area. Most of these countries have different languages, but one trade policy, if you will. How do you translate beyond the language barrier between ASEAN countries, say the Philippines, where English is truly the language, to Vietnam, where French and Cantonese is more spoken? Right. How do you get those two sides together?
Over the years, it's a mixture of having a really great network from both the business side, the political side, and just the local side. Having somebody on the ground there, I can pick up the phone or get onto Skype and say, hey, what's the situation on this? And get some answers back. And then feed that through to somebody in the government or somebody in the business world and put a story together. I think that's really important. In the end, it's being able to, and then if I go in the end, this is the problem with my business where I become the product. Anybody interested in coming in, I'd love to have somebody come and help me out, but then I can go in and be a buffer. And so present this as a central person, or as aคนกลาง, somebody in the middle. But it's tough. The cultural, I think Indonesian and Thai, there are so many similarities, but at the subconscious level, they themselves think that Thais think they're so different from there. So you get problems.
In the business environment, which country is the most difficult to negotiate in? Is it China? Is it Thai? Is it Vietnam? Is it Laos? Is it Burma?
I was running a negotiation workshop in Shanghai, and I tell you what, it's in the blood. The Shanghainese, they're born with negotiation skills. You know, everything is a negotiation, whether it's family, friends, business. And for those guys, I feel sorry if people from a culture where it's a non-confrontational culture coming up against some people from Shanghai or even Hong Kong, really good Hong Kong negotiators.
Going to have dinner in a restaurant in Shanghai with Shanghainese is really difficult because they negotiate the menu.
Yeah. Everything's a negotiation. It's in the blood. And even Shanghai, you notice it. Shanghai with Beijing. Beijing is more regal, where it's a political city, where Shanghai is business. And so I think Shanghainese are fantastic negotiators.
What about on the other end of the scale? Are there countries where negotiation is not a good skill that they maintain or have?
There's always going to be negotiations, but how you do it. So if you had somebody from Shanghai coming and negotiating in Thailand, but the person the person in Thailand has the thing that they want, if the Shanghainese comes and negotiates the way they do over there, the Thais are saying, well, get out of my country. So it's all relative. In Thailand, negotiation is done quite differently. Now there are more international influences, and a lot of Thai companies are training their staff up to be able to handle these international negotiations. But I think in any negotiation, one thing that I've learnt is don't underestimate the power of silence.
You speak about silence. I looked at your resume. A couple of the languages you speak are sign languages. And signing is close to becoming a lost art that unfortunately not that many, or fortunate, not that many people are using sign language anymore.
Right. The deaf community, I think they will always have their language amongst themselves. I started off across the road from my dad's place when I was a kid. There was a family and they had a deaf child, and the only person that signed out of that whole family was the mother. And so I went out and I could spell in sign, finger spell, but I started learning to hand sign. And it came on, I was learning to communicate, and then other people wanted to come in and learn. And then later on in high school, we had a deaf unit in there, and I ended up, signing and interpreting for people in that deaf unit as well, and found myself being surrounded by deaf people in many other places that I went. But it's a shame if it's lost. One thing I love about sign language is that it takes language and meanings out of the spoken word and brings it into other parts of your body.
You talked about the placement of the tongue and the palate and everything else. In sign, it's totally different.
Right. And again, it's all using mechanics to render a meaning. Whether I'm playing music, computer program, making an electric circuit, signing or speaking, it's all using these physical tools to render something from the heart.
You also talked in one of your interviews about Morse Code.
Yeah.
Is another, and you and your grandfather used to play games
at
the table, talking to each other.
We'd sit under there and we actually made transmitters as well. You have like the Radio Shack kits where you could make them up with either a buzzer or actually ones that would make would send to an FM radio, or you could send a shortwave, an oscillator, and build an oscillator that would Morse across. And yeah, we'd have fun sending Morse to each other and listening to Morse broadcasts on the radio.
I'm sure your grandfather would be proud if he looked down now to see how well you have done with languages, something that I'm sure he was very proud of, his ability to speak and understand so many different languages. That's really the basis. We'll be back on tonight on Monday with another program, so join us then. I'm Tom Mintier.